everyone who's in this room that I know and have had the same honor bestowed on them that I am right now, told me it would be emotional. I have basically two things I want to say, and those who know me best know that two is a little more than two. But I want to first start by giving some gratitude and then end by telling you a story. I just caught a glance of myself and my daughter over on one of the pictures. My gratitude tonight at this 35th induction, which also 2024 is 100 years of the birth of the snowmobile, is pretty cool for me. And my story is going to give some dates as well. But the way I want to start is by congratulating the other inductees, of which many I also have a link throughout my career. Mike Patine, I've just met recently, but I shared a story with him today about his family that motivated me, so congratulations, Mike. Mark and Kent Lester. Kent can't be here, but I know he would. And Mark, thank you to you and your brother for coming to New Brunswick in 1995 with our dear friend Harold McCann and helping us start and do better things there. Congratulations, Mark. Dave Newman. Dave and I passed each other 1,000 times at 100 congresses. And he was working hard for Wisconsin and AXA, and I was on the other side working with the Canadian Council and the administrators, so congratulations, Dave, well deserved. And Brenda Welsh. Brenda's passed now, but nobody worked much harder at the Canadian Council of Snowmobile Organizations than Brenda. So Taylor, I'm proud to have served with your mom, wherever you are. I also want to thank the ISHOF board and all the sponsors. I've been around this crazy thing that I love so much long enough to know that without the work and dedication you put in, I wouldn't have this privilege of standing here tonight, so thank you. I want to thank the New Brunswick Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, who gave me the privilege of serving them for 24 years as their general manager. To the International Association of Snowmobile Administrators, who I have many deep friends. To the CCSO, the Canadian Council of Snowmobile Organizations, where I served on their board for 24 years. And recently, with a little negotiation with my wife, Claire, I'm back on the board. And to all my friends at AXA, many of who are in this room, and I consider deep friends. I want to thank Charlie and Dottie, who had me in their home, had me in their state, and we rode together just as recently as this past winter, and we're planning to do so again in February. Charlie and Dottie, you're true friends. The last thank you is to my daughter Jillian, who's been sending us texts while we sit at the table, and my lovely and beautiful wife Claire, who supported me through this, because there were times all I did was snowmobile. It's crazy what this thing does to you, but we all know that none of us can do it alone. And I was always very proud that part of the success we had in New Brunswick and at the CCSO and at the administrators is about relationships. And the relationship and the friendship with my wife is so important and a reason why I stand here tonight. So now my story. I have 3 dates. The first date is 1972, the next date is 1997, and the next date, and yes, I didn't get those backwards. Today is September 21st, 2024. And that'll make sense in a moment. In the fall of 1972, my father and mother brought home a 1973 Chaparral Firebird because I couldn't play hockey very well. Not all Canadians, we all play, but some of us are a lot better than others. So anyway, as an 11 or 12-year-old kid on that 73 Chaparral, the first rule was do not leave the yard. Now that sucks. My best friend's right across the field. I can't leave the yard? That was the rule. But I also knew that my dad's lawn and grass were really important to him. I said, if I ride this thing around the figure 8 long enough, I'm going to get to the grass. When I got to the grass, I was allowed to leave the yard. And that was the start of my journey. The next date's 1997. That's 25 years later. Claire and I have been married 3-4 years. She'll correct me.
6.
And I had taken on a new job at the New Brunswick Federation of Snowmobile Clubs. I was their general manager, reporting to a board of directors, and in my opinion, I had landed a dream job. I was working in the snowmobile industry. Look at that, look at Claire up there. Pretty good looking, huh? See that? I think that's when we were dating, wasn't it, Claire?
No, darling, that was a week before we got married.
See,
Although, in truth,
I told you she'd correct me, right?
in truth, we only dated for 6 months, so
Yeah.
you might be right.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted. So I had this new job in August the 5th, 1997 I started. Sometime a little later that fall, we're at my mom and dad's, and we're at their cottage, which was now their home, and we had dinner, and our daughter Jillian, if we'd been married 4 years, she was 3, or whatever, you get it, right, okay? And my father was a quiet man, and he said, after dinner, he said, let's go outside and talk. Okay, all right. So we go outside. So, you got a new job, huh? Yeah. You know you're married. Yes. And you got a daughter. Yeah, where are you going with this? Said, oh, so you gotta stop fooling around. You gotta get a real job. My dad never got to see this. He had a hard time understanding in 1997 that snowmobiling, unless you sold the darn things, you could make a living, you could make a career, you could make a difference. So it was kind of funny. You got to get a real job, he said. You got to stop fooling around. You're not a young fellow anymore. The next date is 1990, which is not the next date, but ties this whole story together from the beginning in 72 and the beginning of this job in 1997. I had taken a job in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I had been headhunted to come back to New Brunswick to work. So I'd been a snowmobile fanatic for a lot of years, even in 1990, long before I knew I'd have the privilege of that job. So my route, I took a very direct route home through Eagle River. Now most people wouldn't have a clue where Eagle River was. But in 1990, because I was so fanatical about snowmobiling. I knew that track was here. I knew all the names. I knew the Midnight Blue Express. I knew Jim Dimmerman, Bob Elstner, Larry Coldham, Larry Ruglin, on and on and on. In fact, I think one of the set of pictures up there was from the main Snow Pro back in Scarborough Downs, Maine, just Portland, when the professional teams traveled there. The Scorpion Squadron, Brad Hewlins, Steve Thorst. I knew all that. So here's the end of the story. So on my way home to take a new job in New Brunswick in 1990, I drove into Eagle River. You know how the pictures you used to take back then are dated? So tonight is September the 21st, 2024. Before the first ISHOF event, I landed in Eagle River on September the 21st, 1990. Thank you.